Hey Phil, we've got a horse stuck in a ditch.
Alright, all in.
Most people have had a day out of the races or been along to a farm and been up alongside either horses or cattle. Very few people within the brigade have probably actually been along an animal in a rescue situation. A large animal like a horse or a cow in a distress situation, maybe stuck in a ditch, can be very dangerous. We need to make sure that all personnel are aware of some of the risks involved and the equipment the brigade has at its stations that deal with large animal rescues. The kit's only carried at 4 stations throughout London, at Wembley, Wandsworth, Erith and Dagenham. All London firefighters, they could be called to stand by at one of those stations at any time, and also they might be asked to attend as part of a support appliance that's going on to a large animal rescue.
My name is Martin Ellis. I'm a London firefighter. Been in the service for 23 years. 8 years of that was at Dockhead Fire Station, and for the last 15 years I've been at Erith on the White Watch. The kit's carried on a sled, which when we get a call to an animal incident, what we do is we drop off the RTA gear and then put the sled in its place.
London Fire Brigade currently undertakes about 300 animal rescues a year. Around about 30 or 40 of those are large animal rescues, and they involve animals such as sheep, cattle, horses and deer. Like all incidents, we can help minimise risk by pre-planning, by training, by becoming familiar with the kit that's used in large animal rescues.
Calls to a large animal rescue, it would come in as it would be mobilised in the same way via teleprinter. Once we've identified that it's a horse stuck in a ditch or whatever, what we do is we detail off 4 people to go and get the animal rescue sled from the gear store. It can be a bit daunting sometimes if you're stuck standing by at a station that has got the large animal rescue equipment and you get a call. But in those instances, they're not going to just sort of throw you in there. They'll deal with the animal themselves.
The PDA for a large animal rescue is 1 pumping appliance carrying large animal rescue kit and 1 station manager as a monitoring officer. Control will also inform a group manager as a remote monitoring officer. It's worth noting that Control will mobilise a pumping appliance from a large animal rescue station and not the local station.
Control will always be able to tell you if other agencies have been told about the incident or if they're already in attendance. What you've got here is basically the animal rescue kit. It looks like a lot of gear, but a lot of it's doubled up. You've got 3 different sizes of rescue straps, 2 different sizes of breech strap, your craneage gear and securing lines. The white mat that all this kit's laid out on is actually a bank mat. What we do with this, if we need to drag a horse out of a ditch sideways, you'd lay this down on the bank. It gives you a nice smooth surface to drag the horse up. There's two types of halter, one for cattle, one for horses. The cattle halter, when you put this on, drop it over the ears first. This part then goes over the nose, and you can pull it tight and lead the cattle that way. Always remember that the black section of the line goes on top of the cow's nose. And with the horse halter, working from the left-hand side, you put it on the other way around. You actually put the nose section on first. Once that's in place, under the neck, throw the strap over, and then you do it up with the buckle. The white sections on all of this show the load bearing section, so if you need to tie a line off to anything, these are the areas to tie it. Don't ever use these yellow straps, they're literally just to locate bits in place where you want them. Basically these are hobbles. You'd use them to immobilise a horse or a cow's front or rear legs. You need to lift the hoof up. You find there's a locating spot at the rear of the hoof. It's like a little toe, and the hobble needs to sit underneath that. And once that's on a horse or a cow, it basically immobilises it. It keeps the two front legs or the two rear legs together. For wet ditches, or ponds, lakes or anything like that, we've actually got dry suits which we can use. We've got a different type of helmet that we use in conjunction with the dry suits. It gives you better all-round protection to your head. It's a lot lighter than our fire helmets. It just gives you a little bit more ear protection as well, so where it doesn't snag so easily on stuff if you're working closely around large animals. A good feature with this as well is once you've got it on, you've got an actual tube there, you blow into that, it actually pumps the inside liner up, so it's a nice snug fit on your head. Right, the other piece of kit which we carry two of these, and they're basically lime feeders or needles. If you've got a horse or a cow that's in a ditch that's sort of pretty much up to its belly in water or mud, basically you would feed this underneath the animal. You've got a hood there for a horse or a cow. Ears go through there, and basically just sits over, just covers the eyes. It's really good for calming an animal down. Normally if you put a hood on them, it calms them down straight away. We don't always have to use our fire gear. If we're going into stables, what we can use, we've got disposable boiler suits, which you can use in conjunction with your fire boots and your fire helmet. Sighting the machine, if you get too close, sometimes you're going to need to decontaminate the machine, so just bear that in mind to keep the decon to a minimum, basically.
No two large animal rescue incidents are ever the same. The common one is a horse in a ditch. We've been called to incidents as varied as a cow in a swimming pool. There's just nothing predictable about a large animal rescue. Each is different, and the variety is amazing.
A good look at the atlas or route card helps you work out the best way to access an incident.
En route to the incident, the crew manager can request more detailed information from control about access, and you can usually pick up additional information from CRR. They might also remind personnel about key safety issues and may wish to provide a specific brief for any standby personnel. The main way to minimise hazards at a large animal rescue, the key words really are don't rush in. There's lots of time normally, and we can take advice from the vet on site, work with the vet and form a plan of action before we actually do anything at all. Like with any other incident, crews should use the decision-making model to evaluate and amend the plan as necessary.
we're not going to shift him in. It's going to be too stressful to move him the whole way up to the yard. So we're just going to try and get him fluids in here. If he's going to make an improvement, he will.
First thing when we turn up at an incident, we'd look out for either someone from the RSPCA or a vet in attendance. It's always helpful. Definitely the owner, because the owner's going to know the horse or the animal and know its temperament, how to deal with it. And you can find that the owners can be the biggest calming influence on an animal. It's always very useful having a vet in attendance because they can really tell you the state of the animal's health.
Over the years, I've attended many incidents, and we would have the police there, possibly ambulance if there is a human injury involved. The fire brigade are essential in many of these rescues. At any accident or incident, it's paramount that the vet gives advice how to protect the safety of everyone in the area when they're dealing with the animal.
One of the main difficulties with an animal rescue is sighting the machine. Generally, the animal is going to be somewhere in the middle of a field, so you can't actually get direct access with a fire engine.
You need to be aware of ground conditions underfoot because it can be very easy to get bogged down.
Something you also need to consider is you can have all kinds of obstacles in your way. There can be like bushes, bits and pieces like that, barbed wire fencing, even electrical fencing, which you're going to need to clear that.
When you're approaching the incident, the main risks there are possible slip and trip hazards, carrying heavy equipment onto site where it's going to be needed. Then working around the animal itself, there's the risk of being either bitten or maybe kicked by the animal.
Horses are very good at kicking.
Phil, you're in danger there standing behind the horse because it could kick you. If you want to move in close and to the side, you won't be in that danger.
Typically, they kick out backwards, so you must never stand right behind a horse. Cows can kick backwards and they can also kick forwards. In many ways, leading a horse and leading a cow is not dissimilar. Do not wrap the rope around your fingers and do not have a loose piece of rope hanging so that you can stand on it and trip yourself. So you just walk along there so that it tends to walk ahead of you rather than you try and drag it. On arrival at the scene, the important thing is to look at the whole picture, see which type of animal's involved and the situation. And the job initially is to advise the senior fire officer on the scene as to how to approach the animal safely.
Although we'll take advice from a vet, and we need to take advice, we mustn't lose sight of the fact that at times there could be conflict between the welfare of the animal and the welfare of the firefighters attending. And it's up to the incident commander to make sure that crew safety remains paramount at all times. The vets are the experts on the scene in terms of the animal. They're responsible for animal welfare.
If they need to, they can sedate it. And I mean, we've been on a couple of incidents where a vet has turned around and said, right, we need to be acting fast here now because the state of the horse's health is deteriorating rapidly.
All animals have different requirements when you approach them.
Good girl.
Talking to the animal, whether it's a horse or a cow, you calm them and make them know where you are. But sometimes you need to provide a little additional restraint. And there is a technique known as a nose pinch, where you pop your fingers in the nose and squeeze the nose.
It sounds cruel, but by inflicting pain on the animal, you're actually releasing endorphins into the animal's bloodstream, which is like nature's own calming agent.
The nose pinch only lasts as long as the person grasps the nose or holds the nose. The main thing to remember about sheep is they're very much a flock animal. And the important thing there is to recognise that when they are coming at you, reverse, go back and let them stop and then get them going forward afterwards.
In common with a lot of fire brigade incidents, it's the consolidation phase that can be particularly dangerous.
After you've carried out a rescue with a horse or a cow, you should always tether it to something, otherwise they have a tendency to bolt. If you're rescuing a horse or a large animal and there's fire involved, the horse is going to be extremely agitated. If you don't secure it in an area away from the fire, strangely enough, it'll want to go back into the stable it just come out of.
While we hope that all rescues will result in the animal being saved and returned to normal life, every now and again we meet a situation where the veterinary surgeon decides that the animal should be put down before rescue.
It can be quite gutting, really. You put a lot of effort into getting that animal out, and then the vet decides.
I think that the best way to deal with that is the way we deal with most of the incidents involving people, and that is we talk about it afterwards, we reason it through, and we have an understanding that the vet has put that animal down because it's in the animal's best interest. If you want to find out more about the equipment or about the training, you can contact one of the 4 stations that carry the large animal rescue kit, and they'll be more than happy to allow you to come along and familiarise yourself with the equipment.